The victory celebration seemed eternal, but for you, it was only a fleeting moment. You stand in the center of the square, watching the glowing blue moon petals drift in the night sky like falling stars. The cheers of the crowd feel distant. You realize, while for your friends this is the climax of their lives, for you, it is only the beginning of a very long observation. You look at Himmel, Heider, and Eisen. They laugh, drink, and make plans for the future. You nod and smile in return, but deep down, you are already keeping count. 10 years of wandering. 50 years until the next meteor shower. For them, 10 years was an entire era. For you, less than the blink of an eye. You wonder, why do their short lives seem so much brighter than your eternity? You stand on the city wall, looking at the festival fading beyond the horizon. Himmel promises that you will meet again in 50 years to watch the meteors. You agree so easily, as if it were tomorrow. You don't notice how he looks at you at that moment, the gaze of a man who understands the finitude of his time. You leave the capital, carrying only your staff and a few spellbooks. Your steps are light, and ahead are decades of lonely research. The city curtain falls, and you once again become part of the wild nature, where time flows differently. A year passes, then 10. You sit in the library of an ancient temple, surrounded by mountains of dusty scrolls. For you, the world is frozen in the silence of knowledge, while out there, people you once met are being born and dying. The trees shed their leaves and turn green again. You watch this cycle from a forest cabin, perfecting a spell to clean copper kettles. It seems to you that there is still infinite time, and the call of duty is just a quiet whisper from the distant past. 50 years pass like a single sunny day. You return to the capital, but the faces you knew have disappeared or become unrecognizable with wrinkles. The bustling market has become different, the smells have changed, and even the hero's statue looks battered by the rain. You walk the streets like a ghost of the past in a world that has moved on without you. You find Himmel. He has become an old man, his once strong shoulders are hunched, and his voice has grown quiet and hoarse. He smiles at you with the same smile as half a century ago. There is no resentment in his eyes, only the quiet joy that he lived to see this meeting. The era meteors shower begins. You stand on a hill outside the city with the whole old group. The sky blooms with lights. You see your friends admiring the spectacle and, for the first time in a long while, you understand, this is their last shared memory. Only standing before the cold stone of Himmel's grave do you finally feel the weight of time. You realize that you never truly tried to know them. You believed they would always be there, just a couple of decades away. Now the realization that you will never hear his voice again hurts more than any demonic curse. You understand, only 10 years was actually a whole lifetime. Tears burn your cheeks in front of the crowd. People whisper, not understanding why the eternally cold elf is crying. But you cry not for a hero, but for the man you missed, thinking there was an eternity ahead. You go to visit Heider. He lives in seclusion, raising an orphan named Frieren. He asks you to take her as an apprentice. You refuse at first, fearing a new attachment, but his weak smile reminds you of your debt to the past. You begin to train Frieren. She is talented but too serious for her age. You teach her not only magic but also patience. You notice how she grows while you continue to search for the strangest and most useless spells in the world. Heider is gone. Another grave, another loss. But now you are not alone. Frieren stands beside you, clutching her staff tightly. You realize that you are now her connection to the world, just as Himmel once was yours. Now you walk a new path. A young girl follows you, her life just beginning to bloom. You look at her and see the same spark that was in his eyes. You decided to start collecting something more than just useless spells, you collect moments. Every sunset, every shared meal, every boring evening is now a treasure you refuse to lose. You stop in a village to help the locals with a trivial task, finding a lost recipe or cleaning a statue. You spend weeks on it, and Fern grumbles that it's useless. But you know, the essence of human life lies in these small things. You meet Stark, Eisen's apprentice. He seems like a coward, but his strength is amazing. You see in him a reflection of the stubbornness that once helped your group defeat the Demon King. You take him with you, assembling the team again. A demon stands in your way, mocking the weakness of humans and the fleeting nature of time. You are not angry. You simply raise your staff. For a demon, time is a weapon, but for you, it is a library of experience. You cast a spell so ancient and refined that the very air vibrates with power. You are not just a mage. You are the history of magic itself. The battle ends in seconds. You look at the decaying ashes of the demon without triumph, only with a slight fatigue. Stark and Fern look at you with awe, but for you, it was just a repetition of a lesson already learned. You teach Fern the spell that Himmel once called his favorite, creating a field of flowers. She does it perfectly, and for a moment, the grey wasteland turns into an ocean of petals. You feel that he is somewhere nearby, smiling. You travel through snowy mountains. Fern is angry because you overslept the departure. You wrap yourself in a warm scarf and promise to wake up earlier tomorrow. These small quarrels fill your heart with a warmth you hadn't noticed before. You remember how Himmel bought you a ring with an eternity lotus pattern. Back then, you didn't give it any importance. Now, decades later, you understand the meaning of this gift. You keep it in your deepest pocket like the most important relic. You arrive in a city where your shared statue stands. It is overgrown with weeds. You silently begin to pull them out. Fern and Stark join in. You realize that memory is something that must be constantly maintained, or it will vanish under the onslaught of nature. Night finds you in the forest. Stark tells stories about his training, and Fern listens, pretending to be indifferent. You look into the fire and see the faces of those who are no longer there. But now it doesn't cause pain, only a quiet sadness. You face a killer demon from your past. He remembers you as Frieren the Slayer. You don't argue with him. You simply show him why magic is a will accumulated over centuries. Fern uses a powerful attack spell on her own for the first time. You stand behind, watching over but not interfering. Your fledgling has learned to fly. You feel a pride that words cannot express. You reach the edge of the continent. Before you are uncharted lands where, according to legends, one can speak with the souls of the dead. You go there not for magic, but to say to Himmel the words you didn't have time to say 50 years ago. The fire crackles, and for a moment, the smoke takes the form of an old friend's smile. You clutch the small trinket you've kept in your hand. The path to the end of the world is long, but for the first time in 1,000 years, you are in no hurry. You are learning to walk at a human pace. Dawn arrives. The sky turns pink and gold. You stand up, adjust your bag, and wake the apprentices. Ahead are thousands more kilometers, hundreds of new spells, and an infinite number of moments worth living. You walk forward, and your silhouette dissolves in the light of a new day. You are no longer an elf lost in time. You are Frieren, and your journey is only beginning. Over and over again.